This is the City Center podcast from West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm Jerry Marcello. The city is a place where hard work and dedication does pay off. There is, of course, the satisfaction of serving the residents of West Palm Beach, but there is also the promise of career development and professional growth for those who stick with it and do their job well. A good example of this is a man who, many years ago, started one of the toughest jobs in the city and is now the leader of one of the busiest departments in West Palm Beach. And we're here today with Leon Pinder, Director of Public Works and Support Services for the City of West Palm Beach. Leon, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, help me get this set up. What exactly do these two departments do for the city and the folks who live here?
Well, Public Works and Support Services, one, we provide in Public Works sanitation services, where it's commercial, residential yard waste, and residential garbage pickup for the citizens of West Palm Beach. We also provide street lighting, maintenance. We fill potholes with our asphalt crews. We repair sidewalks with our concrete crews. And also our sign department, where we make the signs like in-house, some stop signs, some yield signs, and a lot of different signage that you may see around the city of West Palm Beach, we do in-house. Support services, fleet is part of support services where we maintain all the city assets, meaning cars, pickup trucks, sanitation vehicles, bucket trucks, so on and so forth, and facilities where our department maintain all city-owned facilities throughout the city of West Palm Beach.
Well, so basically a whole lot of stuff that
Yes.
you guys are involved with. And obviously the ones that we hear about most often, fixing street lights, fixing potholes. Hey, when is my next garbage pickup? All that falls underneath you.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So you are the director over both these groups.
Yes.
But you started a long time ago doing a different sort of job for the city.
Yes, when I started here as back then it used to be called a refuse collector. So that was back when there was 3 guys on a residential garbage truck. It was a driver and 2 guys on the back. That's where I started at when I started here.
And how old were you when you started?
I think I was probably around like 23, something like that.
Wow. So what made you take the job? What drove you to come to the city and give it a shot?
Well, prior to working here at the city, I was a truck driver and I was driving over the road. And so I, didn't want my kids to grow up and not know who their dad was. So I decided to take on a different career path. And I started here at the city and I started looking. I was like, well, hey, one of my friends worked here and he was like, hey, you should come and do this. And I was like, oh, I'll take a look at it. And so taking a look at it, I was back off the road for like 2 weeks. I told him I needed to be home and close to home. So I began to show up at the city of West Palm Beach at 4 o'clock in the morning before the supervisor would get there. And I said, hey, I want to do this job. He was like, you don't want to do this. You're a truck driver. This is hard work. It stinks. It's hot, and it's a lot of heavy lifting. I was like, sir, I want to do this job. And he was like, yeah, come back tomorrow. And so tomorrow, the next day, I was there at 4 o'clock again. I was like, I don't have a problem getting up. I want to work. And then he was like, well, come back on Friday. And so I came back on Friday, and I was there again early. And he was like, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. And so that's how my career started here at the city of West Palm Beach.
Wow. So you basically stuck to it. You would not take no for an answer. You kept coming back and coming back. And you did it for some pretty important reasons. You did it for your family.
Yes.
Fantastic. So what you did that for a while. Then was there an opportunity or what was going on?
Yeah, so I started out as a refuse collector. I did that, I think, about 3 or 4 years. And then I was promoted to a sanitation equipment operator, where I began to be the driver of the residential truck. And so I did that for several years. And shortly thereafter that, I became the residential sanitation supervisor. So where I started at, then I was the supervisor over that whole work group. Wow. And then several years after that, I became 5 years after being the supervisor, I was promoted to the sanitation superintendent. and I was the sanitation superintendent for 7 years. And then I was promoted from the sanitation superintendent to the public works operations manager, meaning at that point, I was not just over sanitation anymore. I was over sanitation and street maintenance. And then a little short time after that, a year or so after that, I was promoted to where I'm currently as the public works director for public works and support services.
Now, that is incredibly impressive, but it wasn't necessarily as smooth a ride as you might be portraying it. Was there some stumbling along the way?
Yeah, I can remember one story, and I can remember it very clear to this day. When I came to the city, I went to a training, and I was a driver at that time, and I went to a training that was for supervisors. And as a driver, you could go if you aspire to be a supervisor. So I went to this training, and I was asking the instructor was asking some questions, and I was answering the questions. And after that training, she called, at the time was the superintendent of sanitation, and told him, "Hey, I think you picked the wrong person to be your supervisor, because you have an employee that's a driver that really should have been a supervisor, because he was able to answer more of the questions than the supervisor was able to answer." And I remember my supervisor at the time said, "Hey, my boss said, don't allow you to go to any more trainings because you're smarty pants." And so at that point, I didn't go to any more trainings right away, but shortly after that, I was consistent and persistent that I wanted to go to other trainings, and I was allowed to go.
So how did you react? How did you feel when you got this smarty pants hit?
Well, I was taken back by it a little bit, because I didn't think I was being a smarty pants. I knew, because I had, read up on things, and I researched things, and I took the time to learn about it, because I wanted to make sure that I was, one, in compliance, and if I was going to share anything with anybody, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. And I always wanted to know. I wanted the information so that if one day I was able to lead anyone, that I could give them the right information from the beginning, instead of having to backtrack and try and give them information.
You took the opportunity to take this sort of little hit and then, sort of redefine what management is about. And did you ever take that to heart? Did you use that in the future when you were hiring and working with new people?
Yeah, so one of the things I did is I took that to be the fuel to the fire, if you will, and I wanted to make sure that I never, ever was one of those individuals that the supervisor, not the supervisor and the superintendent was, because the things that I seen them do, I wanted to go 180 degrees different and not do them. And I wanted to be the supervisor that my employees one day would be able to depend on, and know that when I spoke to them, that when they spoke to me in confidentiality, that it wasn't going to go anywhere, and that I cared about people, and not, you wasn't just a number, and how I talked to people and how I respected them. And, one of the things I use to this day, that we may not necessarily like each other, and we can agree to disagree respectfully. At no point would I demand respect, and I will never disrespect any one of my employees or coworkers at any time. So that's one of the things I took from that.
And how do your coworkers react to this, to your approach?
Well, I think they can not only hear me talking, but they can see it in what I do every day, as the way I carry myself, the way I respond. One of the things that I don't think any one of my coworkers or anybody I work with can say that, hey, they've ever seen me upset. That's not who I am. I know that, the storm may come, but it's only there temporary. And I am always calm about situations. And if two people get upset, we're not solving any problems. And I always tell people that I try and lead by example. And I'm not going to ask you to go do something that I'm not willing to either go out and be your biggest cheerleader side by side with you, or go out and do it with you.
Right now, because there's probably people who are listening to this who are thinking about perhaps maybe applying for a job with your division, with your group. What message would you like to send to someone who's thinking about joining Public Works and support services?
Well, I would tell anybody that have a thought about joining Public Works and Support Services that you could not, one, work for a better city than the city of West Palm Beach. That's number one. Number two, I think that I would say come and join the award-winning team. What we do every single day, we get to make a difference. And, I always kind of go back to the sanitation division, because within sanitation, if this is a service that everyone depends on every single day. Okay. And it's like clockwork. People don't think about it. They know that their garbage days or whatever those garbage days are, they put their garbage out. When they get back home, the expectation is that that garbage cart is going to be empty. The moment that that garbage cart is not empty, we're going to be getting a phone call. What happened? And so we provide a service that not only people want, but people need. And it's not that, hey, when you call us, it's not like when nothing against the police or fire, but something bad had to happen. No, we're just providing an ongoing service that everybody expects to have.
Leon, obviously the type of work that you do is very, very complex. How do you keep up with the state of the art in all the things that you're involved with? What sources do you use?
Well, there's different organizations that I'm affiliated with, like APWA, which is American Public Works Association, that I'm very involved in, and also connected with other individuals and professionals that's across the United States. There's SWANA, the Solid Waste Authority of North America organization, and other organizations that I just tap into, and that there's individuals that have been in those organizations for years and years, and some of them are retired and consultants that I still keep in contact with to make sure that I'm relevant and plug into free webinars whenever they're available as well.
Is there anyone that you can think of that truly motivated you or inspired you to be the man that you are?
Well, I would think that there's probably a couple individuals, so I won't name them by name, but there's a couple that are part of the organizations that I just said, like APWA and SWANA. I could tell you that I took a trip over several years ago to the city of Clearwater and met some incredible gentlemen over there, and that when I seen the friendship and relationship and working relationship that they built, and the individuals that was working for them that was so happy all the time and motivated to go out and do more, that just inspired me to definitely latch on to those individuals and many other ones around the U.S., but them in particular that made me say, hey, you know something? Those are the individuals that I want to be associated with and learn from them.
All right. So if you had the opportunity now that you are director and you've had all this experience in your life, if you could reach back in time and talk to yourself when you were 23 years old and starting your career with the city of West Palm Beach, what advice would you give?
I think the one thing I would say is, hey, continue, just go back and how many other individuals that you could bring along to show that how great that the city is and was, but how could you provide careers and opportunities here for individuals that have came to the city, made a mistake, and unfortunately was unable to come back. Come and do a great job and have a long career, a rewarding career. Because, one of the things I asked one of the employees that's in the street maintenance division is, hey, when you retire, what do you feel that you'll be most proud of when you're riding around the city of West Palm Beach with your grandkids? And he says, all the signs that I've been able to put up, but not just that the signs that I've been able to put up, that I've been able to make a difference for every resident and visitor that come to the city of West Palm Beach by having the bright signs out.
Leon, there's no doubt you and your team makes an incredible difference here in West Palm Beach.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for taking the time today and joining us. Is there anything that you would like to say to the folks out there now that we have an opportunity to have their ear? Any message for the folks?
No, again, my thing of it is that, hey, we provide exceptional service here in the city of West Palm Beach. And one of the things I like to pride myself and my team on is that I can't do anything without having a winning and a great team. Setting the expectations up front so everybody know what their role is. On most teams, I'll use football as an example. You have one, maybe two quarterbacks, maybe three, but at the same time, everybody needs to know what their role is, play their role, and you can win any championship that you're going against because everybody knows what their role is, and be the very best that you can possibly be because every individual add value to the team.
Leon Pinder, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day.